talked about this day for a long time, and it's here.
It's time. It's time. Let's go.
Don't leave today disappointed. I'm ready right now. Let's go.
Give me something light a cigarette just so I can breathe.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Innsbrooke Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Shaun, and we're back for another episode. We got some exciting things to talk about this week with a new guest who we will feature later on in the episode. So stay tuned to check that out and hear what he has to say about his big win this week and his opponent this upcoming week. Now, as we're looking over things and kind of reviewing some things that are going on in the league right now, we have some crazy things happening. Yes, some crazy things happening. So if we look at the overall, we have 3 undefeated teams left. 3. We have Mr. Ken Slobberknockers, Eric Wallen's Tuna Fish Sticks, and Hussy Bussy Samson. Yes, those are your top 3 teams right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens with them this coming week as they both, all 3, one of them, maybe some tough matchups. We'll see how it all fans out. Got a few teams that are 2-1. Diggs in a blanket, team with no name. Throw some Devos on that. AI, not Iverson. Some big teams right there. You got some 1-2s, but also at the bottom of the map, right now, your stand-up comedy show. If the season were to end today, Greg would be getting his comedy on. Yes, maybe great at poker, but I hope he's better at comedy because he's going to have to do some stand-up. And then they got Lauren, kind of teetering right there. Not a big difference. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, but those 2 are the bottom 2. LB dug himself out of the slumps. So that's some of the things that are happening right now across the league overall. The highest scored points for Tyler and Diggs in a blanket and throw some Devos on that are the top 3 on scoring points this season. And then getting scored against. I mean, Taylor is catching everybody in their best week. He has given up 428 points, followed by his brother giving up 426 points. That family just don't know how to play defense, it doesn't seem like, until you get down there to Mr. Ken. And then you look at the other 2, they just don't know what they're doing. Then you got ETN phone home, can't score, and get scored on. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But let's go in and break down our Week 3 matchups and games before we get to our special guest. All right, your Game 1 was Slobberknockers versus America's Team. Slobberknockers, Mr. Ken, advances to 3-0, winning this game 139-113 versus Hunter, who drops to 1-2. Mr. Ken stays hot with his team, and honestly, it's going to be tough to beat Mr. Ken. His roster is booming. James Conner, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CMC, Puka, what a big ad, and the Buffalo Bills defense dropping 34 points this week. That's hard to beat. Hunter had another poor performance out of his quarterback play with Daniel Jones. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. It may be time to look at another route because DJ is probably not him. That offensive line is atrocious, and they just don't look like they can move the ball well.
Shut up, stupid. You're a dummy. You're the... So, and I don't even... you're the... Okay. Oh, here we go.
Especially with Saquon out. So congrats to Mr. Ken on moving to 3-0. Your next matchup was Zach Chubby Chasen, who's coming off a big L last week. Not just a loss, but a loss that hurts his season. Versus That's What CD Said and Wood. Zach wins this one 118-108, so a 10-point margin, moving both teams to 1-2. It'll be interesting to see what they say. Chubby Chasen got the comeback over That's What CD Said to capture 9th place, which is big as you look at things. And a big factor in this was Jalen Hurts outplayed Trevor Lawrence. You got some consistent pieces over there versus big scoring pieces over there. Miles Sanders, big week. Jamar Chase, big week. Yeah, so you had some guys that stepped up and stepped out in a big way. Steelers defense and the kicker getting some big points. So, yeah, congrats to Zach on his big win. Your next one was a battle of defeat versus the battle of undefeat. It was the Huss Samson going to 3-0 with a 118-104 victory over Greg's 0-3 ETN phone home. Greg's got some things he's got to work on, but the Huss is looking bus-y. Huss has got it going on.
Can you please not tell anybody I just did that? That feels embarrassing. Actually, you know what? I don't care what people think. Do you think I care too much about what people think?
Kirk Cousins, Kirk Thuggins. He's the man of the hour. As long as Kirk keeps looking like he's going to trend to break records, he's going to be in good position over there. He's got some consistent pieces with Olave. Judy got 13. That was big. But over on the other side, it's hard with Calvin Ridley and Jahan Dotson scoring 7 and 4 points. You know, it's going to be a good question mark to see how it goes. But the Huss beats ETN phone home to make it 3-0. Your next matchup was the Mean Machine versus Throw Some Debos on that. Pond with the monster victory, 150-107 over Freebus on his birthday. No respect. Just beat that man into oblivion, and it just hurt. It hurt. It hurt. Pond jumps up on a 2-game win streak after a big win. Pond's got some consistent players in his lineup right now, like Keenan Allen, Debo, DK, even Isaiah Pacheco. Freebus is counting on the Titans to really step up. The Lions don't know how to use a running back. Tyreek can't do it alone. It's going to be good to see what happens. Freebus's lineup ain't bad, but Justin Fields leads his roster, and Justin Fields couldn't lead himself out of a wet paper sack right now. So I'm sorry. That's just is what it is. Pond, congrats on your big win. Your next one was Tux's Army, who I predicted to win it all, dropping to 1-2.
I haven't given you enough time to freak out yet. You may do so now.
Oh my God.
But as I predicted this game, Diggs in the blanket pulls it off, 134-127. Very close game, very evenly matched. Diggs in the blanket beats Tux's Army to capture 4th place, which is big for him. The question marks around Diggs in the blanket right now is his quarterback going to show up and play? Dak Prescott looked rough, but everywhere else looked pretty consistent. Devontae having an off week kind of helped Logan stay in this and keep it a little bit closer than it should have been. But yeah, this was a big week for Diggs in the blanket, Mr. Joel, to jump up to 2-1, and Logan drops to 1-2. So it'll be interesting to see what Logan does to bounce back. He's got 2 tight ends, so anybody that's looking, holler at him. Your next game was a team that has no name versus Stay on the Porch. Tyler advances to 2-1 with a 165-131 victory over Taylor. Taylor is catching everybody on their best week. Taylor currently has the most points scored against him in the league, and he's one of the highest scorers in the league. That's mind-blowing. A team has no name snatches one from Stay on the Porch, grabs 5th place. Tua's putting up big numbers. It's going to be good to see what Tank Dell continues to do. Devontae Adams is a monster. I mean, he's got 3-headed monster. If his running backs can figure it out, Tyler really can run away with this league, but his running back room is the only thing really holding him back at this moment. Taylor had a big performance out of Raheem Mostert and Cortland Sutton and DJ Chark and still couldn't pull this away. But Tyler, congratulations on your win. That was a big one for you, jumping you up to 2-1, moving you into 5th place. And Taylor's struggling down there at 12. I would love more than anything to see this guy who's scoring a lot of points do a comedy show, because there's going to be some bitterness in there. So I don't think it's going to happen, though. He would really have to just absolutely fumble it. Your next matchup was Tuna Fish Sticks, Eric Wallen's team, versus AI Not Iverson. A battle of undefeateds going into the week. Somebody had to lose, and that somebody was the AI. Jake Goodman takes an L, 149-96 over Eric's undefeated team, who had a lot of questions. Tuna Fish Sticks put the sting on AI, and he outs them for 1st place. Yes, Tuna Fish Sticks is in 1st place. You're never going to hear the end of that from that guy. There's more to be talked about on Tuna Fish Sticks later, but his running back room is really blossoming. If A-Chain keeps it going, Swift keeps it going, I mean, it'll be crazy to see what happens. But Eric has somehow turned his thing from worst to first in his mindset, and he is really going on. So congrats, Eric, on your big win. Your next game, we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail in a little bit, but I'll cover it real quick and real brief. Bad News Bears, LB gets his 1st victory of the season, and not just a victory, but in big fashion over They Call Me Crazy Lauren. LB moves up to 1-2. He's placed 14 right now versus They called me crazy coming in at 15. You know, LB had some great play out of his quarterback as to where Mike Williams too, but Mike Williams hurts his ACL. It's going to be very big to see what happens from it. And then Ryan Tannehill. Anytime you're trusting Ryan Tannehill to lead you through something, man, you might as well just tie cinder blocks to your feet and jump off the bridge. He's not going to do that for you. It's over. You know, powered by the signature performance from Justin Herbert, Bad News Bears beats They Called Me Crazy. So that is that matchup of that week, and that is what's kind of going on in that world. It is definitely interesting to continue to see how these falter and play out. But yes, that is covering this week. Now, without further ado, let me introduce to you our very special guest at this time, the man, the myth, the legend.
Step up, bring it. Yes, sir. Somebody go get their ass kicked.
All right, we are here live with the Bad News Bears, LB. How you doing, LB?
I am good. I'm doing good. It's been a long day, but happy to be here. Coming off a victory, too. I couldn't be any better.
Yeah, we're going to touch base about that victory. I would love for you to rub a little salt in that wound here in a little bit, but let's get to know about LB. You know, let's hear a bit about you. We both just discovered our middle name was Douglas at the same time. So we have that in common. So the Dougs are coming to you live from our areas. You know, we're not together, but
Knox Vegas.
Yeah, Knox Vegas for you, Murphy's. Yeah, just Murfreesboro. But LB, I mean, let's talk about that. What does that stand for? You know, does it stand for you know, lose is bad? You know, that's some may say that in fantasy. Is that what it is?
You know, that's what some of the haters might say, but formally, it is Larry Douglas Brandon II. So
Sounds
that's my
presidential.
full. Yeah, hey, maybe one day for like maybe after this podcast, you know, if things go well, then we don't get canceled. That can still maybe happen. So, but yeah, that's my full name. Go by LB. Everyone, everyone calls me LB. Yeah, the full name doesn't come out unless I'm in trouble, sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I am mid-20s, or did I say mid-20s? I'm 28. I'm getting it. You know, I try to say
You passed the mids, my guy.
I know. I tried to say it and make me feel better, but yeah. But I am a second-year law student at the University of Tennessee.
All right. So, I mean, and you know, laws.
And you know
laws
that,
fun.
but the audience doesn't know that.
Do you consider yourself a law-abiding citizen?
For the most part, yes.
What's one law you wish you could break?
You know, I don't think about breaking all. I don't think about what I'm doing, and I just kind of do it.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm kidding. No,
rebel without a cause, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, no. We definitely don't want to break any laws. If the bar's watching this, we're a good person.
Ah, the bar. What about people behind bars? Are they watching?
I guess nowadays, I mean, I've seen so many TikToks of people, inmates having their phones, so maybe.
Which bars gives you more street cred?
Probably the rap bars. So
Oh.
neither of them, probably rap bars. If you're out here on the streets freestyling, like, you know, boom, 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 go into my room, boom, 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 go into the bar, boom, 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 you know who I are, you know, those are probably my street creds.
You know, if you could pick your rap name right now, what would it be? Would it be Bruno Bars?
Okay, that's probably it'd be El Bizzle.
El Bizzle.
You know, the nickname, keep it simple.
Okay, all right. I mean, I've also read, you know, from being in this group message, you know, with the Innsbrooke Fantasy League, getting to be a part of it the last couple of years. Some people allegedly, I'm not 100%. Maybe you can bring out some of your law stuff here and really dissect this for us, because this is all alleged. You know, this isn't confirmed. You know, it's hearsay. I mean, it could be dismissed because it's hearsay. But some say you're the cutest heavyweight of all time. What are your thoughts on that?
That's probably true. You know, Pond's up there. Pond looks good. You know, you look good. You're not, you know, you're in the group, man. You look good. So I definitely have some competition.
You got some comp. Speaking of competition, your opponent this past week, Lauren. Would you put him in the heavyweight category? I mean, you obviously didn't treat him like he was very cute this week.
Yeah, he definitely was in the category. He got knocked out this week. I'll tell you that much. He got knocked out.
You know what
So
they say, better to
I,
get knocked out than knocked up.
that is true. That is true. But yeah,
Would you
Lauren,
knock
I
up
hate to
Lauren?
see it for man. Probably he's not my type.
He's not your type. Is it because he's white?
Hey, I, I'll keep that to myself.
We get it. You just don't like dudes with beards. It's okay. Really scraggly beards at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, while we're on the topic of Lauren, I mean, what was your biggest key to victory? I mean, you won what, 111 to 81 or something? I mean, it wasn't just a small victory. I mean, you really put it on the guy.
Yeah, I'm looking at the game center now, and I mean, I hate it for Lauren, but to win and compete in games, your team has to show up.
Yeah.
And I mean, 81 points in this league, not showing up. I mean, he has Tannehill, RIP. I mean, but like
Yeah.
Tannehill did show up.
His
His
whole thing
backs
is
did okay.
Falcons and Titans. That's bad luck.
Yeah, I mean Jefferson, he's solid. He's gonna always produce, but I mean he just had some players that did not show up and almost made it too easy for me. Like I like it. If I want to win, make it a challenge. But the fact that I just beat him by that big of a margin is just like, get ready for stand up, buddy.
Get ready. Brandon Cooks hasn't been cooking very much for you. And, you had a real big injury this week after dropping 25 points. Mike Williams, what is your plan to bounce back from Mike Williams hitting that IR after blowing out that knee?
I'll tell you what. So what I do in fantasy every about 3 weeks or so, I evaluate my team, and this is coming up on the finish up our third week this past week, and looking at it, I'm like, boo. I joke around about Lauren being on that stage, but I might be on that freaking stage if I'm not careful. Because, like you said, the injuries of Mike Williams, that wasn't good. And I'm the depth I have, it's not looking great. So I'm gonna have to make some trades. I have to finesse some people a little bit. But my goal, as long as I'm not on that stage at Zany's or wherever, like I'll be more than happy.
Well,
So we'll have to make some things happen. Get in GM mode. Have to hit the lab.
I mean, you keep talking about the stage. So in this league, I don't know if we've really brought this up in the other podcast episodes yet, but if you're someone random watching this for some odd reason, you just want to be a part of what we're doing and you just want to listen to a few idiots talk, the loser of this league has to go on stage at some comedy place and do a stand-up show. So last place has to do that. So LB, let me ask you this. If you lose and have to do stand-up, which route do you see yourself going with your stand-up? Like, do you see yourself going the Bill Cosby route?
Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, that's probably not on that. But I'm gonna go my own route. If I want to be, next big comedian, I'm gonna have to be my own guy. So, but hopefully it doesn't come to that. But I will say, after the first week, 0-1, I'm like, okay, things happen. I'll bounce back. But once I started at 0 for 2, I realized that, not Monday now, I'm gonna go 0 for 2. I've got some notes in my notes app that you can, get some things started. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, hopefully it doesn't come down to it. But definitely not going to go to Bill Cosby route.
Not
Maybe
Bill
the Dave
Cosby.
Chappelle route.
Okay.
Make some money, go to Africa, and then come back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you take a little vacation. You're not about,
Yeah.
You're not about slipping things in people's drinks. You don't like that route?
No, not quite.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fine. Samson did that to me once and it was really fun, but I just didn't know if that was your thing. All right. Well, that's
Sure, it's fun for Samson too.
It was fun. It was a blast, no pun intended. But there's a lot of things that we could ask you before we get into your next opponent and who you're playing next week. But let's go in and ask sports hero. If you could pick one sports hero, like who is your all-time favorite hero? Who would you pick? Maybe not the GOAT, but your hero.
Ooh, that's a great question. Gut wanted to say Michael Jordan. He said like I hate to, it's kind of a standard answer, but I mean, man, this 6-0 in the championships, like you can't knock him on that sort of thing. And just, I mean, man, just I have to watch the documentary too. I mean, this man just has grit, resilience, things I admire. So I hate that it's a standard sort of answer, but Big MJ guy. Big MJ. I have a poster. I have like a framed picture in my room. Back home. Big fan.
So, what do you say to people that name their kid Michael Jordan and it's not the real one? Like we've got Michael B. Jordan, Michael Jordan. You got Michael Jordan that even plays for the DB for the Jets. Like, how do you feel about those imposters? Those imposter MJs?
Yeah, well, you got Coke, you got Pepsi, you got name brand sodas or whatever that are store brand or cheap whatever. So those things will always exist. But you
Well,
can only be one Coke, you can only be one Michael Jordan, and we know who he is.
yeah, so it sounds like you're a man of power then, since you like MJ. He's a powerhouse goat, I would say, right? And men of power all have targets on their back. So say you're a man of power in this league. Who do you think you would put the biggest target on their back in this league?
Yeah,
Who sets
I
themselves
think.
up?
Well, I think a lot of them set themselves up, but you know, kind of going to my opponent next week, Eric. I mean, man, he tries to run things, he really doesn't, and he really just sets himself up, for the negativity. And I know he's 3-0, but I think karma will come back around to get him, and hopefully it'll be this week. Because I mean, man, this guy just commish. I want to be the boss. I want to be the boss, and
You will never get this. You will never get this. La 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 la.
you can't have respect like that. Like, you have a lot of people that will, sit there and be targeting you because you can't take down Ken the Baptist.
No, he just thinks he can run everything. He runs his mouth, tries to
Yeah.
run the league.
Might have to run these hands.
Yeah. I mean, he might, and who wins? That's my question. Over under how
Everybody in the league would beat him. There's
Everybody.
16 of us. Throw you in there, he would go 0-16.
Man, even Mr. Ken would put them hands on him. I think
he would.
I think Mr. Ken should already have put the hands on him for the disrespect.
Oh, but see, that's why Mr. Ken's Mr. Ken, though. He's a nice, calm man. He would never come to that unless he really had to. But the way Eric's been talking, he might have to.
Mr. Ken might need to bend him over his knee and give him one of them old school whoopings.
Yeah, let's get the paddle out like they did in elementary school and just give him a couple licks.
So, well, I would actually pay to see that. I mean, I think that'd be the best comedy. If Mr. Ken comes in last, that should be his comedy act.
I think I would pay big money to see that too.
So as we look into this, let's ask a couple more questions before we dive into you and Eric really tipping off here and playing. I know we can discuss that a little bit, but there was a question that most people are wondering. I mean, I hear the viewers in the back already saying it, and I get it. It's a great question to ask. But bad news bears. How many times do you clog a toilet a week?
0. Well, like if you're doing average, on average, maybe like
an average toilet
0.25.
volume.
Yeah, like a 0.25. So maybe once a month.
Okay, so you're a once a month clogger.
Once a month clogger. Yeah, this happens sometimes. I can't help it. My body's talking to me. You gotta, just make it happen. And sometimes when you make it happen, things happen.
Yeah,
I can't help that. It's just part of human nature. So
it's just part
we
of
get the plunger out and fix it. And we move on to the next poop.
just unclog it. Have you ever considered, maybe the toilet, you're not clogging the toilet, maybe the toilet's clogging you?
Yeah, I'm in an apartment complex. I don't want to I like it's a nice complex, but maybe it's the previous user that messed it up. So it might not be my ass, it might be their ass.
I think you're right. It's a lot of ass, and I think you are right.
Exactly. I mean, wide load, maybe wide load.
You're practicing law. Cheek on cheek crime is dangerous. You got to watch that. Saw that in a Baywatch episode. So do you? Let's ask a couple more questions and then lead into our next segment with the game of the week with you and Eric. But do you have a spirit animal? Like what would be your spirit animal?
I would say, probably a tiger.
Why?
Nice and silent, for the most part. They're not gonna bother anybody. But if you poke them too much and start messing around, you're gonna hear me roaring. I'll have to say some things that might get me in trouble, but I would say I'm a tiger. I just, again, mind my business, keep to myself sort of thing, but if you bother me too much, roar, like that might happen.
I mean, okay, so you gave that spirit animal. What spirit animal would I be?
A nice bear, a big, nice grizzly bear.
Okay, so I'm like Yogi Bear here. Okay, got it.
Yeah, Yogi Bear. You're nice and gentle. Never a bad word out of your mouth. Never too hostile. That's a nice big teddy bear that these people just want to give you a big hug.
I'll take the teddy bear. I guess that's kind of you. While we're on animals, do you believe in animal rights?
Sure.
Sure. So you just think that
I don't want PETA coming after me, so sure.
Yeah. So
sure.
So you think it's okay for us to give porcupines guns?
I don't think I've ever seen a porcupine with a gun before.
But
So
you
that
said
might have been like a one.
You believed in animal rights. If we gave them guns, how would you feel?
I mean, I guess right to bear arms. So I mean, that's what it.
See,
So
that's the bear.
that's the bear in you. So
Yeah. Now,
I mean, until you haven't seen them, do it. But if they get their hands on it, then
I mean, what do
just
you?
gotta
I
be
mean,
careful.
imagine a porcupine toting an AR. What would you do?
Stay inside.
Not me. I'm watching that all day, all day. Well, I guess your career in this league is just now starting to blossom after a big 1-2 start. Some may say this is your best start. Some may say it's your worst start, depending on who those some are. But we do have a matchup this week that we want to talk about. It is the Bad News Bears, Larry Douglas, Brandon, you're not in trouble, but I wanted to say it, versus the Tuna Fish Sticks, Eric Wallen. And right now, that game is predicted to go to Eric 110 to 106 by these NFL Next Gen stats. 3-0 Eric. What do you got to say about 3-0 Eric?
I don't know. Dead clock's right twice a day. He's gotten lucky. Had some good games. I'll give it to him, but it's gonna stop here. Bad News Bear is coming.
I mean, he went from having no running backs to all the best running backs. How does that happen?
Yeah, rigging. I mean, we say in the group text all the time. He's always cheating. He's always trying to make the rules go in his favor. So it happens. Like I said, it's gonna come to a stop. Like I said, we come in. We're prime time Dion before Oregon. That's how I am. So yeah. So Eric, it's gonna come to a stop.
So who's going to have a big week for you to really pull what they, some consider an upset,
That's fair. And I need, I'm going through my lineup. I need Herbert to show up. And while they've, been okay, if I can get a big game out of Josh Jacobs or Najee Harris, that would be very ideal. And then from there, as far as other players out to step up, they might not be in my team yet. We like to say, we got to get in GM mode, make some trades before Sunday. Because the team I have now, I'll just be quite honest, we ain't winning that. We ain't winning this matchup with the team I have now. So we're going to make some moves, but some players are going to step up. Might not be on the roster yet, but when they get in that Bad News Bears uniform, then they're going to perform and exceed expectations.
What is your loyalty to Cam Akers? Like, does he have dirt on you? Like, did he rob you? Does he know something about your family history? Like, why are you so loyal to this man?
Man, I guess I'm the woo, as some of these Gen Zers would say. I always think, this is gonna be his year. This is gonna be his year. He's gonna bounce back. But I still believed in him, but he's on the bench now. The Rams definitely don't believe in him anymore. He's in Minnesota, so we'll see if he has some success there. If he has some success there. But I mean, I think after this year, my Delulu phase is kind of going to run its course, and he might be on the free agency block and be able to get picked next year in the draft.
Would you draft him again?
Depends how much soda I have that
day. That's a good theory. I'm looking at the matchup now. It's Herbert and Mahomes, pretty comparable quarterbacks. Herbert definitely has the easier matchup going against the Raiders, so that benefits you. I think Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris, for running back rooms, their matchups this week are a lot more favorable than Swift's and A-Chain's, or Achan, whatever he wants to be called now. Because Achan or A-Chain, he plays Buffalo this week. That's a tough run defense. So you might have the running back room a little bit one there. Your receivers, both of y'all are interesting scenario. Tua Atwell has been playing great for what he has been, but he's still a boomer bust guy. Your tight ends are pretty even. Your flex guys are pretty even. I mean, it's going to come down to some interesting scenarios on where you can find 4 points. 49ers are playing Arizona, so you never know what you're going to get out of that offense. And then the Dolphins are playing Buffalo, so that's a tough defense to take on there. So, there's a lot of points that can be found in the area of that. But according to the bench right now, your bench is projected to outscore his bench. So there definitely are some points. Oh, well, you got a quarterback on your bench. That helps. He doesn't.
Yeah.
But no, I feel like this could be game of the week. I mean, it's going to be close. I would say that Eric's definitely got a tough matchup. I'm surprised he's undefeated, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Oh, 100%. Like you said, got some players that are boom or bust, and hopefully I'll be booming, and Eric will bust for the first time in his life. I don't know.
Well, that's the questions I have for you. Is there anything that you either want to ask myself or state before you get off air? Like, do you want to make a statement to the league or anything?
No, I'm good. I'm going to let my play do the talking. I'm going to coach my players up this week, have some motivational speeches for them to hear, and hopefully they'll come out there and perform. That's the plan. That this week and the rest of the season. And hopefully after this big victory, I'll be able to come back, talk to you in the future, about how my season's progressing. And like I said, we will not be on that stage. So I guess that's the message right there. We're not going to be on that stage. Lauren, how about that right in? Okay, Lauren, you be ready for your little speech. I'll give you some tips. Give me a call.
What do you think? Do you think Lauren will actually commit? Do you think he'll do it?
Oh, there's enough of us. We'll come to his house and drag him if we have to get him on that stage. But he will do it 100%, and I think he'll actually be pretty good at it. So
yeah, he's probably one of the ones that are better built for it in the league. So him losing wouldn't be a bad thing. Yeah. Well, LB, I appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you for doing this quick interview with us. Maybe if you win this week, we can get you and Eric on here to debate in a future week against each other. That would be an awesome time seeing two people debate. But yeah, no, you heard it here first, people. That's the owner of the Bad News Bears. He's going to motivate his team and get them fired up more than ever. And he said he's going to put that 1 next to Eric's 3-0 this week. So, LB, thank you for your time, my friend.
No problem at all. See you next time.
Adios.
All right, and we are back to cover week 4 of the podcast and of the season. Let's get to this and let's see what the predictions say. I know Eric Wallen said that he kept up with my predictions the other day and was really kind of breaking it down and telling us what my overall was. I don't remember what he said. I'm going to scroll through briefly to see if I can find it. And he said, I am 15-9 overall. So 15-9 overall, that is not bad considering all things. We will take it and accept 15-9 overall. All right, so let's get into this next week's matchup and let's see what we can break down. Our first game of the week is Slobberknockers versus Zach's Chubby Chasin. Mr. Ken is predicted to win this one by NFL Next Gen Stats, 124-119. Let's get in here and break this game down and see what we can find. Now, as I'm sitting here charting things and looking over, I know the rosters aren't fully set to completion yet. There can be some pieces that move. But, Mr. Ken's got some interesting decisions to make. He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown currently on the bench. I don't know about that call. I think he needs to bump him up, put him in Nico Collins' spot. I think Amon-Ra is the guy that needs to play every week. I'm not benching him if I don't have to. But yeah, so that's what I would do if I were him. I think it definitely helps. Looking over here at Chubby Chasin's lineup, I mean, he's got a pretty set lineup too. It'll be interesting to see what Christian Watson coming back, what Reed will do for the Packers. I don't know if that'll split into his carry, split into his time, but, he's probably the best option. If I'm predicting this game, I'm going to go Mr. Ken to remain undefeated just for the simple fact that his roster is more complete and he's got guys that should be on starting lineups on the bench right now. So, Mr. Ken, congrats. You will be moving up to 4-0, and Zach, you will drop down to 1-3. The next matchup is America's team versus That's What CD Said. Cowboy names. It's going to hurt my heart to pick one. Both these teams are 1-2. Wood is on a 2-game losing streak. As a defending champion, you should be better. You should have more heart. But he's struggling to get things going this season. It's down to abysmal quarterback play in fantasy. You got Trevor Lawrence versus Daniel Jones. Both don't put up great fantasy numbers right now. You got Rachaad White and Zach Moss versus Pierce and McKinnon. McKinnon had a good week just because of the situation of him getting the ball, but that's not happened. A.J. Brown, CD versus Cooper and Pickens. I'm going A.J. and CD in that one. Kittle versus Pitts. I'm going Kittle and not Bitts because, that's it. So Kittles and Bits or Kittles and Pitts, however you want to do it. Robinson versus Dobbs. I'm liking what Dobbs has done. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has this one predicted to go to Hunter, 111 to 104. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I love you, Hunter. I do. But I don't like Daniel Jones at all. And I just think the receiver room of That's What CD Said is better. I'm going to predict Wood pulls this one off this week and gets back on track and gets rolling back in the right direction. He needs a little motivation, needs a little slap on the butt, and maybe that'll do it for him. Who knows? But we'll see. Your next matchup is the Meme Machine. Freebus versus ETN Phone Home. Greg, 0-3. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has Greg predicted to get his first win at 112 to 105. Now, if we look at these these stats that break down, you got Fields versus Geno. You got Henry versus Etienne. Gibbs versus Kyron Williams. Hill versus Ridley. Zay versus Watson. Kincaid versus Higbee. Moore versus Ford. Pearson versus Moody. Jets versus Colts. Very evenly matched up game in my opinion. This is going to come down to one thing and one thing only. Which defense plays better against the quarterback? Is it going to be the Giants or is it going to be Denver? It's hard to say. It's hard to predict what's going on. Is Derrick Henry going to get rolling again? Is he going to still flunder? We don't know. The biggest thing is Tyreek Hill. He's playing a tough Buffalo defense, but he's still Tyreek Hill. And I really think, I'm going to go. This one's a hard pick. It's a hard pick. I'm going to go with Greg, ETN Phone Home, to get his first win of the season and to hopefully turn his ship around a little bit and get that thing selling the right way. So, Greg, I'm predicting you to win. Your next one is the undefeated Huss. Got to do it like that every week. Samson, 3-0 versus throw some Debos on that. A hot pond team. And right now, this is predicted to be a very close game by NFL Next Gen Stats. Samson is predicted to win 119 to 115. Let's break this down and I'll let you know my pick. I can't bet against Kirk Thuggins. That's just criminal. The matchups for the running backs are both very tough. The receivers, Keenan Allen, DK versus Olave, Judy. Kelsey's back, full swing of things. Man, this is a tough matchup. I need to know what's going on with Debo. I need to know. It's very interesting. Jonnu Smith being a starter is questionable. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead. Man, Pond has been rolling, though. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Samson to jump up to 4-0. My pick is the Huss. Can't go against the Huss in this moment just because merely he has Kirk Thuggins, who has been just balling out of his mind. Your next matchup is a team has no name. Tyler's 2-1 versus Tux's Army 1-2. Now, earlier this season, I predicted Logan to win it all, and he's been letting me down. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has Tyler predicted to win 116 to 111. Let's take a look. Tua versus Lamar. Pretty even matchup. Lamar's going to run. Tua's going to throw. Buffalo's a little bit harder, but Cleveland's hard too. It's two hard defenses. You got Herbert versus Mixon. Titans defense sometimes shows up, sometimes doesn't. I think Mixon can play. Herbert is questionable. Brees is questionable. Gainwell's questionable. Devontae versus Kirk. Pittman versus Higgins. Andrews versus Hawkinson. right now, if Ayuk plays, there's a lot of I would start Tank Dell over Ayuk personally right there for the time being. And over on Logan's side, hopefully Eckler comes back. This is a game of questions because if Eckler comes back, gets back in the mix, this makes Logan a lot more scary looking. It's all going to depend on that. However, it's going to be hard to pick against. I'm going to say, I'm sorry, Logan, I love you, but I'm going to have to go with Tyler. A team has no name winning this week just based off of matchups of who the people are playing. Devontae's got a pretty easy matchup this week. Tight ends on Cleveland, those are always big. The running back rooms are both too shaky for both of them. I'm going to go Tyler pulls this one out and wins. Your next one is Diggs in a blanket, 2-1 Joel on a 2-game win streak versus Stay on a Porch, Taylor on a 2-game losing streak. Now, Taylor has statistically been one of the best teams in the league, but his record doesn't show it. I just want to make that statement. He's got the highest points against him, and that's wild, considering he's a top 5 points for as well. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has Joel predicted to win 120-118. Let's break this down. You got Jordan Love versus Detroit. You got Josh Allen versus Miami. I mean, two quarterbacks who are playing well, just going to void out. What Mostert are we getting? It's a tough Buffalo run defense. Will Mostert go up and drop those points? I don't know. I really like the James Cook, Kenneth Walker combination we got going over there for Joel. Aaron Jones, is he back healthy? That's a big question mark. Diggs and Devontae, Sutton and Waddle. I mean, that speaks for itself. Ingram speaks for itself. Evans speaks for itself. Will Alvin Kamara bounce back? Will he be a guy? Will he be relevant? Will he put up some numbers? Basing it off of this, I think Joel does pull this win out. And I do think this probably is Taylor's worst loss of the season. I don't think he gets by that. I think Joel beats him pretty good. So I'm going Diggs in a blanket. Your next one we've already kind of talked about and covered a little bit. Bad News Bears, tuna fish sticks. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has 3-0 Eric predicted to win 110-106 versus LB's team, who just came off their hottest win of the season, a.k.a. their only win of the season. But, Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes, that's an interesting matchup. Herbert's playing the Raiders. That's a lot better of a matchup than an injured, nicked-up Mahomes playing New York Jets. It's all going to come down to, can Jacobs and Najee Harris, can they get going? I mean, Swift and A-Chain are going. They've been going. Now, A-Chain does play Buffalo. That's a tough run defense. But, can those other two guys get going? That's going to be the biggest questions for LB. This game on paper, it looks ugly just because some of the pieces in the lineup. It'll be interesting to see if either of these guys make moves. But I'm going to go ahead and say, based off what I'm looking at, I think just based off matchups, Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris get rolling this week. I think it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. I think CD is going to start getting double teamed. Cooks is going to come up in a big way. I need one more week out of A-Chain and Swift before I can do it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick my guest of honor this week, LB, to pull the upset to knock Eric off and give him his first loss of the season. So, LB, I'm rocking with you. Your last matchup is AI, not Iverson. Jake versus They Called Me Crazy, Lauren. Now, Lauren's 0-3 and Jake's 2-1. Jake is on a bounce back week after suffering his first loss of the year versus old tuna fish sticks for the battle of number one. Lauren is 0-3. Right now, NFL Next Gen Stats has Jake predicted to win 112-103. I got to be honest with you. I foresee Lauren doing stand-up comedy if Justin Jefferson and Bijan Robinson can't carry his team for him. Ryan Tannehill is abysmal. What scares me about his running back room is Algier and Robinson are on the same roster. You got Drake London, questionable with what will happen with him and quarterback. You got the Hopkins 1 and Hopkins 2. Too many Titans and Falcons. I don't understand the draft strategy. I think the AI pulls this one out. I think a couple players on the AI's team can win this one. So I don't think Lauren wins. I'm going to go ahead and say that Jake pulls this one out and pulls it out in big fashion. As we continue to move forward throughout the season, We're going to continue to break down stuff. We'll let it get to about week 6, and we'll start breaking down playoffs a little bit more and kind of discussing those scenarios a little bit better. But it's trade season, boys. If you're hurting, if you're down, if you're out, if you need something to give you a little spark, a little tap on the behind to get you going again, nothing wrong with making a little trade. Some people got quarterbacks that don't need quarterbacks, and you may need one. Some people got 2 tight ends, and they're playing them in the flex just to rub it in your face, trying to flex on you. Go get that tight end. It's okay. You know, tight ends are all right. Just tight ends are all right. Get you one, like Laporta. He's a good one to grab. Now, as we continue to move forward, remember, comedy is on the line. And if you start to see yourself tilting in a bad way, you better start writing your sketch, because it's going to be questionable. And if you're not going to do the comedy sketch and you're just tanking just because, shame on you. Shame on you. Well, that's all I got for this time. I appreciate you guys, as always, listening to the Innsbrooke Fantasy Podcast. Stay tuned after our closing message for a little sneak peek at something, a little PS, a little bit of hey, a little bit of extra. I got a little outtake reel to show you. But yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next week, stay classy.
I guess recording over.
Yeah, it's over.
Okay. How'd you like it?